What is the most WTF Bible quote? Ezekiel 23:20, the only Bible verse I know offhand. There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys and whose emission was like that of horses. There was a story about bringing back like 40 foreskins to marry a king's daughter. Deuteronomy 21:18-21, if your children don't obey, have the whole town kill them. If a man takes a wife and, after sleeping with her, dislikes her and slanders her and gives her a bad name, saying, I married this woman, but when I approached her, I did not find proof of her virginity, then the young woman's father and mother shall bring to the town elders at the gate proof that she was a virgin. Her father will say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. Now he has slandered her and said, I did not find your daughter to be a virgin. But here is the proof of my daughter's virginity. Then her parents shall display the cloth before the elders of the town, and the elders shall take the man and punish him. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver and give them to the young woman's father, because this man has given an Israelite virgin a bad name. She shall continue to be his wife. He must not divorce her as long as he lives. If, however, the charge is true and no proof of the young woman's virginity can be found, she shall be brought to the door of her father's house, and there the men of her town shall stone her to death. Deuteronomy 22:13-21. Get married, have sex. If your wife displeases you, claim she wasn't a virgin. If her dad can't prove that she was a virgin, she is to be stoned to death. Exodus 21:7. If a man sells his daughter as a servant, she is not to go free as male servants do. 1 Corinthians 14:34-35. The women should keep silent in the churches, for they are not permitted to speak, but should be in submission, as the law also says. If there is anything they desire to learn, let them ask their husbands at home. For it is shameful for a woman to speak in church. Leviticus 20:16. If a woman approaches an animal to have sexual relations with it, kill both the woman and the animal. They are to be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. I don't know the whole quote, but when Lot's daughters get him super drunk and rape him to repopulate the earth because they don't realize God was only smiting Sodom and Gomorrah. The bears eating the teenagers is pretty good. Deuteronomy 22:28-29. If a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married and rapes her and they are discovered, he shall pay her father 50 shekels of silver. He must marry the young woman, for he has violated her. He can never divorce her as long as he lives. Show Song of Solomon to a kid who hasn't had the talk yet. They'll give you a few. Timothy 2:12. I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over a man, she must be silent. That one story where the dude marries a girl's two older sisters first cause their dad wants the older sisters to be married before the younger one. Man had 3 wives at the end and God is like, sick bro, that was the Lord's work, thanks. Also the Revelation quote about stars falling from the sky like figs and the sea turning to blood really fucked me up as a kid. Ask of me and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance and for thy possessions the ends of the earth. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now therefore, ye kings. Be admonished, ye judges of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son lest his wrath be kindled but a little and yet perish in the way. Malachi 2:3. Behold, I will rebuke your offspring, and spread dung on your faces, the dung of your offerings, and you shall be taken away with it. A summer camp I used to volunteer at asked us to send encouragement cards to each other. One guy started writing random Bible verse numbers without seeing what they said first, and this was one of them. Deuteronomy 25:11. When two men are fighting and the wife of one of them intervenes to drag her husband clear of his opponent, if she puts out her hand and catches hold of the man by his privates, you must cut off her hand and show her no mercy. I have prepared a list before for my sister to use in an argument she was having. Here it is. Revelation 2:23, God kills babies. 1 Peter 2:18, slaves, obey your master. 1 Timothy 2:12, women can't teach. Ephesians 5:22, women, submit to men. Ezekiel 23:18-21, donkey cock. Samuel 18:27, foreskins. Deuteronomy 25:11, if your bitch grabs your balls when you get in a fight, cut her hand off. Deuteronomy 23:1, you need a dick to enter heaven. Exodus 22:18, kill witches. Samuel 15:3, commit genocide against opposers. Psalm 137, if someone wrongs you, smash their babies onto rocks. Romans 1:27, homophobia. Genesis 22, God commands Abraham to kill his son. Judges 11:31, douchebag promises to kill someone at random if he wins a battle. Spoiler, it's his virgin daughter. Luke 16:18, divorce is always wrong and is basically cheating. Kings 6:28-29, divine endorsed cannibalism. Exodus 21:7-8, condoning sex slavery, specifically of your daughter. Samuel 6:19, God kills 50,000 people for looking at the wrong thing. Samuel 6:1, God kills a kid with lightning for tripping while carrying his ark. Matthew 5:28, fantasizing is as bad as cheating. Kings 13:8, rape is fine as long as it's your sister. Job 2:3, God destroys a man's family and life to test someone. But never test God. Numbers 25:6-13, guy kills an interracial couple. Is praised by God. Leviticus 26:27-29, cannibalism as a punishment. Jeremiah 13:15, God makes girls get raped for forgetting to worship him enough. Note, King James Version uses heels made bare where the original says, skirts are lifted up, and you are violated. Exodus 32:28. So the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moses. And about 3,000 men of the people fell that day. Moses had 3,000 people killed for worshipping a golden calf after coming down from Mount Sinai with a commandment that read, "Thou shalt not kill." Mark 14:51-52. Right as Jesus has been arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane, a young man, wearing nothing but a linen garment, was following Jesus. When they seized him, he fled naked, leaving his garment behind. Some random dude went streaking at the arrest of Jesus Christ. And it was good. Narrator, it was not good. 1 Kings 12:10 Thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, Thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. The advisers told the new king to say this, not God. Zechariah 2:10 Ho, come forth, and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith the Lord. Clearly, this verse is discussing Santa Claus. Slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything, and do it, not only when their eye is on you and to curry their favor, but with sincerity of heart and reverence for the Lord. Colossians 3:22. So if you're being owned by another person for no money, just do everything they ask of you. And don't fake it. Pretend they're God. John 2:15. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep, and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables. I bring this up anytime someone says what would Jesus do? From the story of Sodom and Gomorrah in Book of Genesis. When two angels visit Lot in the city of Sodom, the men of the city gather around Lot's house and demand that he give them the two guests so they could gang rape them. And in this heartwarming classic tale of father knows best, Lot offers the mob his two daughters instead. Genesis 19:8 Behold now, I have two daughters that have not known man, let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do yet to them as is good in your eyes, only unto these men do nothing, forasmuch as they are come under the shadow of my roof. Kudos to Redditors for finding dig quotes. Surprised no one was WTF at Revelation. Those who work on Sunday should be killed. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day shall be put to death. Exodus 31:15. What's the one about eating shit bread and all? There she lusted after her lovers, whose genitals were like those of donkeys and whose emission was like that of horses. Somebody post the horse cock verse. Matthew 27:52-53. The tombs also were opened. And many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised, and coming out of the tombs after his resurrection they went into the holy city and appeared to many. The Bible talks about the first zombie apocalypse in human history and nobody else bothered to write down how a bunch of dead folk came back to life. Hell, this passage in itself makes the resurrection not special if there were a bunch of other people that came back from the dead. God has a dress code. Deuteronomy 22:11 You shall not wear a garment of divers sorts, as of woolen and linen together. Your stature is like a palm tree, your breasts are clusters of fruit. I said, I will climb the palm tree, I will take hold of its fruit. Song of Solomon 7:8. Exodus 22:19. Anyone who has sexual relations with an animal is to be put to death. Was it so common in the Bible days that they had to make a rule against it? Quote, as in something a figure says in the Bible, or as in some random verse. Basically any part of what God says to Job after he finally complains is a total dick move. Son's dead. Everything taken from you. My universe, fuck you. Yet she turned to even greater prostitution, remembering her youth when she was a prostitute in Egypt. She lusted after lovers with genitals as large as a donkey's and emissions like those of a horse. And so, Oholibah, you relived your former days as a young girl in Egypt, when you first allowed your breasts to be fondled. Ezekiel 23:19-21. Isaiah 36:12. But Rabshakeh said, Hath my master sent me to thy master and to thee to speak these words? Hath he not sent me to the men that sit upon the wall, that they may eat their own dung, and drink their own piss with you? Exodus 21:20. If a man beats his male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies as a direct result, he must be punished. 21. But he is not to be punished if the slave gets up after a day or two, since the slave is his property. Yup, the Bible advocates for slavery. It could very well say don't own slaves. After all, God in his supreme wisdom would know how awful it is. But somehow he doesn't. And he actually allows you to beat your slave as long as they don't die within a couple days. WTF? There's no context where that's okay. Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he, who in the name of charity and goodwill, shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who would attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. Book of Enoch, look that shit up. Leviticus 26:29, and ye shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters shall ye eat. Bonus fact, eating your sons and daughters is, like, a big thing in the OT. Deuteronomy 28:49-54. The Lord will bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose language you will not understand. You shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and your daughters whom the Lord your God has given you, in the siege and desperate straits in which your enemy shall distress you. Lamentations 4:10. The hands of the compassionate women have cooked their own children, they became food for them. And my personal favorite, Ezekiel, the mad bastard, says in 5:9, and I will do among you what I have never done, and the like of which I will never do again, because of all your abominations. Which in 5:10 he clarifies to be, therefore fathers shall eat their sons in your midst, and sons shall eat their fathers, and I will execute judgments among you, and all of you who remain I will scatter to all the winds. So yet, lots of cannibalism. Ezekiel 1:4-28. I looked, and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal, and in the fire was what looked like 4 living creatures. In appearance their form was human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, their feet were like those of a calf and gleamed like burnished bronze. Under their wings on their 4 sides they had human hands. All 4 of them had faces and wings, and the wings of one touched the wings of another. Each one went straight ahead, they did not turn as they moved. Their faces looked like this, each of the 4 had the face of a human being, and on the right side each had the face of a lion, and on the left the face of an ox, each also had the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. They each had 2 wings spreading out upward, each wing touching that of the creature on either side, and each had 2 other wings covering its body. Each one went straight ahead. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go, without turning as they went. The appearance of the living creatures was like burning coals of fire or like torches. Fire moved back and forth among the creatures, it was bright, and lightning flashed out of it. The creatures sped back and forth like flashes of lightning. As I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with its 4 faces. This was the appearance and structure of the wheels, they sparkled like topaz, and all 4 looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the creatures faced. The wheels did not change direction as the creatures went. Their rims were high and awesome, and all 4 rims were full of eyes all around. When the living creatures moved, the wheels beside them moved, and when the living creatures rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go, and the wheels would rise along with them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When the creatures moved, they also moved. When the creatures stood still, they also stood still, and when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels rose along with them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Spread out above the heads of the living creatures was what looked something like a vault, sparkling like crystal, and awesome. Under the vault their wings were stretched out one toward the other, and each had 2 wings covering its body. When the creatures moved, I heard the sound of their wings, like the roar of rushing waters, like the voice of the Almighty, like the tumult of an army. When they stood still, they lowered their wings. Then there came a voice from above the vault over their heads as they stood with lowered wings. Above the vault over their heads was what looked like a throne of lapis lazuli, and high above on the throne was a figure like that of a man. I saw that from what appeared to be his waist up he looked like glowing metal, as if full of fire, and that from there down he looked like fire, and brilliant light surrounded him. Like the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day, so was the radiance around him. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. When I saw it, I fell face down, and I heard the voice of one speaking. Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men. Blessed is he who in the name of charity and goodwill shepherds the weak through the valley of darkness, for he is truly his brother's keeper and the finder of lost children. And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger, those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord, when I lay my vengeance upon thee. Gunshots. 1 Samuel chapters 5-6. TLDR, Philistines steal the Ark of the Covenant. God kills several of their leaders and strikes the people with rats and fatal cases of hemorrhoids. After 7 months, the Philistines send the ark back with trespass offerings of 5 golden rats and 5 golden hemorrhoids and other riches. Just imagine the Israelites getting the Ark of the Covenant back with all these riches, and among them are 5 life-sized golden buttholes with hemorrhoids. WTF? Next, Indiana Jones movie artifacts. Genesis 19:32, let's get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father. A prophet was walking along a city and then a couple kids ran out and called him Baldy basically. The prophet prayed to God to punish them and a bunch of bears came out and killed the kids. What? Boo. Fuck.